Sí. Bueno, vamos a tratar de que...
Well, we are going to try to ensure that we are not further delayed. Before we start the second block, and while you take your seats, I would like to suggest that you could also write about this forum on the social media. Economía Circular, hashtag Economía Circular, so that people are aware of what is being debated here. So we are going to go back now to the second session or second block, and this has to do with the EU Circular Economy Package. This is an initiative that seeks to ensure smart growth that is also sustainable. That is to say, a growth that is respectful of the environment, but also creates a job. So we have here with us someone who is an expert in this area and who will probably be talking to us about the ongoing negotiations in which the Parliament's criteria and the European Commission's criteria come together. Luis Planas Herrera is the head of the DG Environment. He is responsible for international relationship and for the LIFE program. You have the floor, Luis.
Buenos días.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you in this important event on circular economy. First of all, I would like to thank the Spanish Federation of Municipalities and the Mayor of Seville, Juan Espadas, Econ Bendes, Oscar Martin, for their invitation to be here with you to give you the viewpoint of the European Commission on circular economy and to talk to you about the EU Circular Economy Package. As a person from Córdoba, it is a pleasure to be back in my homeland and to be able to make this visit. Today is a very important day for us, for the Commission, and also for the municipalities. And I want to thank and congratulate the mayors present here today, as well as of the authorities, for the declaration of Seville that is being presented today to the media at the city of Seville. We are committed to a more green Europe, a more circular Europe, and also, why not, a more competitive Europe. Global economy demands and must be committed to greater sustainability. This is because of the limitations that our planet has. I would like to show you some data. In terms of demography, we will be 9.5 billion inhabitants in 2050. This has already explained this morning. The urban development is increasing. In 2050, more than 70% of the population will be living in cities. In terms of the environment, there are many challenges. We are seeing that the average temperature of the planet has increased. We are also losing biodiversity at a rate that is greater than ever before. And in terms of energy and resources, there is also a huge challenge. The energy demand will increase by 30% in the coming years. And it is estimated that the demand for resources will increase approximately 50% in the next 15 years. At the European level, as the demography, we have an aging problem. Will represent less than 4% of the world population by 2050. As for the environment, the situation is also very complicated. 2/3 of the ecosystems are degraded. And we are also losing biodiversity despite the efforts made to preserve it. And from the economic point of view, we also have a challenge. We are losing weight at the global level. We will represent in the next years only 20% versus the 30% we represent today. It is not easy either at the political level. We are still in the midst of the economic crisis. The indicators start to be positive, but the fact is that the actual situation is very complicated throughout the EU. We also are seeing the greatest migratory crisis in the history of Europe. We are trying to find solutions to this problem. We have a problem of security, of borders. In Wednesday next week, it will be the first anniversary of the terrorist attack in Brussels. And there's also Euroscepticism today. We know that there are elections in the Netherlands, and I think this will give us some idea of what can happen in the future in the different countries in 2017. So this is a major challenge, and never before has sustainable development been important, nor the need for action been so necessary. We know how important sustainable development is for our citizens. 95% of European citizens consider that the environment is important for them and that it has a direct impact on their way of life. 2/3 of these citizens consider that the EU should be doing more in this area. For example, the Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN go to prove that the EU is something that brings together our citizens, the governments, and also the companies. So we are living at a time which the European project is being called to doubt, and I think we do need a sustainable development plan, because it is something that is positive, that brings together citizens, that brings also together the economic actors and politicians, and it allows us to create a roadmap for the future. In this context, achieving circular economy is essential, and I believe that the cities have a very important role to play, because the cities are the heart of the European economy. But they also demand huge resources, be it energy, water, or natural resources. We also have the problem of waste management or emissions. So these challenges have to do with urban planning. These are environmental challenges that we all face. More cities live now in the cities than in rural areas. They represent 2/3 of the European civilization. They consume 80% of energy, and they account for 85% of GDP. So this goes to prove how important cities are. We believe that sustainable cities are the keystone for the implementation of circular economy. We have to be close to the citizens, and citizens, companies all live together in the city, and this will lead to a change in the paradigm. We have talked this morning about what is the circular economy. This simply reminds us which is the definition used by the European Commission. The circular economy is an economic paradigm in which resources should be used more efficiently so that they can be more competitive and we can protect the environment. We have to ensure that there's added value to the products and materials. We have to ensure that they are maintained for a longer time during the life cycle. We have to use less resources and create less waste. So we have to move on from the linear economy that we have talked about before, extract, produce, use, and throw away, to a circular economy in which the value chain is constantly being fed by the different elements. We have to create a virtuous cycle where nothing is wasted. We believe that the Waste is a pollutant, and from pollutant we have to change them into raw materials for the future products. These are some of the challenges of the European economy. Today, for example, we see that there is a lack of natural resources. In order to satisfy current demand, we will need 1.6 Earth by 2030. If we continue in this way, we will need 2 planets. This is going to make us very vulnerable to whatever happens outside the EU.
Cómo podamos ese residuo generado.
It is very important how we manage all this way. We're talking about a triple benefit that have already been mentioned here. First of all, we would obtain economic benefit. Circular economy will allow the European model to be more competitive, and it will be based on 3 pillars: the development of new business models, production and consumption, creation of new business opportunities, and the innovation in new technologies that will arise from this new economic model. The way we produce and consume has changed, and therefore circular economy will be an agent for change that will bring innovation. In terms of figures, we believe that circular economy can lead to annual net savings of 600 billion euros for the companies. That represents 8% of turnover. So it will have a very strong impact on the economy. As for the environment, and this is something that is key to circular economy, we have to be able to ensure sustainable development, because in this way the economic activities will be more environment friendly. So we have to take into account that circular economy can reduce by 2 to 4% the emission of greenhouse gases. This would reduce by 50% the CO2 emissions in 2030. And this is very important for Spain, so that this would allow Spain to achieve its climate change goals. It will also help. There will be less pressure on the natural resources that as I have mentioned, are under threat. All the studies that we have carried out show that there will be greater social benefits through circular economy. It is a outstanding means to create jobs. It could create 2 million jobs in Europe alone. This is very important. And the waste management, for example, well, we think that in this field there will be more than 200,000 jobs created. There are also benefits to the quality of life of all our citizens. For example, health. We will be able to improve health because the air quality would be better. There are approximately 200,000 deaths in the cities due to the poor quality of the air, and this is one of the challenges that we will be facing. There's also another aspect that was mentioned this morning. Circular economy creates local business models, and this can help us to ensure greater territorial and social integration. So based on all these opportunities and challenges that I have mentioned, the European Commission has created a circular economy package. We call it a SMART package that is based on 54 measures through which we want to ensure that circular economy can be a reality for the first time. And the action areas includes the whole cycle from design, production cycles, a more responsible consumption, recycling of products, and the reintroduction of waste into resources. We have also identified priority areas by sectors, and for example, plastics, or construction. We have also created a calendar for the coming years that is being fulfilled to this day. In January, we presented a report on the kickoff of this plan, in which more than 50% of the measures have already been implemented. I would like to give you now some examples of the measures in the different action areas. In terms of production, the goal is to incentivize systems that are innovative and cleaner to make sure that the products are more sustainable. So eco-design has a significant role. A well-known brand of smartphones, for example, presented the IAM, which is a robot that can disassemble the phone in 11 seconds and select the key elements that can be used again to produce a new smartphone. Through this process, they recovered 1 ton of gold. So this is an example of a company that saw an opportunity to increase savings and recover raw materials that would be hard to gain access to. So we have this plan, the Eco Design Action Plan 2016-2019, and it represents a savings for households of 490 euros and equal to the annual consumption of Sweden from now to 2030. In line with what has been said this morning, it is important that consumers and public authorities choose products that are more sustainable. We are trying to ensure that the consumer will receive true information about what they're buying. We are working on a European economic eco-label that would allow the consumer to know exactly what is the impact that the product has on the environment. And we are also working on the program obsolescence, because this is something that is very important if we want to achieve circular economy. We cannot allow products that have a fixed deadline or useful life to be placed in the market. We are also therefore information is very important to ensure that the consumers knows exactly what they're buying. We will have to put into place campaigns that will raise awareness among of our citizens, and we believe that local authorities have a huge role to play in this. Technology is very important as well to ensure that there are different types of elements that can be put into place. For example, collaboration, or these companies can be the leaders of this area. This can affect the automotive industry, the textile industry, and many others as well. And even in the vertical gardening that is appearing in the cities, this allows the urban citizens to produce their own food.
In terms of waste management, well, this is a big challenge. And the solutions can only be local. In Spain, we have huge problems in relation to recycling, as we mentioned this morning. We're recycling just above 30%. And a great deal of waste continues to go to our waste or tips or collection points. Hence, we consider it necessary to review waste management regulations and legislation in order to fulfill the recycling objectives. 75% of municipal waste up until the year 2030, 75% of waste in containers, and by the year 2030. And we're also trying to reach an agreement with the European Commission, the Council of Europe. Yesterday, the European Parliament adopted its report, which will make these objectives even more ambitious. For example, municipal waste to 65%, or limiting dumping to 75%. We would like these new rules to guarantee maximum possible recycling. And we've seen different examples of new forms of consumption which can help us reduce waste. For example, the city of Vienna has implemented a plan which allows citizens to purchase and sell used electrical appliances over the internet. Using this system, more than 100,000 tons of electrical appliance waste has been avoided. And Vienna's also created a local business because 400,000 tons of electrical appliances have been repaired in the city. And to conclude with the cycle, we also have to look at the way in which we can ensure that waste can also be transformed into a resource. We're trying to create what we refer to as the secondary raw materials market, which will be a way of promoting in industry the use of byproducts. And a great role has to be played here. This is an excellent place, for example, for promoting industrial symbiosis. Cities can also ensure that company waste can be transformed into a resource for other companies, and clusters or hubs of enterprises and companies can foster these synergies. We're also working on water. Water is a critical resource in cities, and very often we consider it to be sufficient. But at present, due to the problems of climate change, inadequate investment in infrastructures or contaminations can seriously undermine the provision of this resource. The cities in this respect have to be stakeholders that drive change and promote more sustainable use of water. And the Water Framework Directive also includes measures for the reuse of water in certain activities and in a secure and safe manner. And very, very quickly regarding priority sectors, we've identified these 5 sectors: plastics, food waste, critical raw materials, construction, biomass and biomaterials. Today I would just like to emphasize plastics because I believe that this is one of the main challenges that we face today. In every second, approximately 500 kilos of plastic waste are dumped into the sea. That's on average what's generated or produced by one European citizen. And of this waste that is dumped in the sea, the majority of plastic. This is not only an enormous environmental challenge, but for a country such as Spain, it also gives rise to enormous costs for the fisheries industry or for our tourist sector. Today we only recycle 25% of the plastic that we use, and the rest goes directly to waste dumps, or directly or straight to the sea. There is EcoEmbes initiative, which in collaboration with EcoAlf consists in the development of a program to encourage the use and cleaning of our coasts and to reuse the plastic that's being collected on beaches for reuse in the manufacture of clothing. This initiative is a clear example of a circular economy enterprise. We're also going to present a plastic strategy by the end of the year. The aim will be to tackle this objective, this challenge, and we will also present a marine waste initiative which will accompany this plastic strategy. And just one comment on food waste. This is a very serious social problem today. In New York, in the UN, we're committed, or we've undertaken, to reducing by half the quantity of food waste by the year 2030. And I think that we all have to play a role in achieving this objective. The international dimension is a very important aspect. We're organizing circular economy missions together with our Commissioner Carmen Ubela and also our Director General Daniel Calleja. We also accompany companies, delegations, NGOs and associations to third countries, and some of you have already participated in these missions. The agendas combine political programs with business meetings, and the idea is to communicate and promote collaboration in relation to sustainable policy at international level, be more effective in relation to resources, and also strengthen the Union's links with third countries. Last year, we visited China and Chile. This year, we've already been to Iran, and we're going to later this year visit South Africa, Colombia, and Indonesia. And I don't want to finish without mentioning an important aspect of the implementation of this circular economy strategy, namely funding or financing. We all have to assign the necessary resources to ensure that this radical transformation takes place. At European level, the Horizon 2020 program, which is the world's largest innovation program, has specific funds for the circular economy. For this year and next year, it's 1 billion euros for our companies. In terms of regional policy, there are also funds available, 1.5 billion euros for the 2014-2020 programming period. We're also in the process of setting up a funding program for circular economy projects together with the European Investment Bank, which is going to facilitate the investment in innovative programs. And national and local banks will participate in this also. And we should all together try to work together to bring down barriers, particularly in relation to food. Again, this is an important obstacle to innovation and also circularity. And to conclude, as a young European, I am enthusiastic to see the level of commitment here in Seville. The circular economy is a great opportunity which we should not miss. It is our best asset to achieve sustainable development, improving the quality of life for our citizens, creating employment and modernizing our industry, creating wealth and protecting our environment. We have to work together to ensure that that strategy is actually implemented in practice, and also that this initiative for circular economy becomes a reality. The initiative is at the service of citizens. We have to work together to create more sustainable and more circular cities in Europe. Thank you.